The season for the Detroit Lions just ended a week and a half ago, and the Super Bowl is still a half week away. And with that being said, we're already moving fast toward the 2024 new league year. And I do this video every year. It's a flop, but that's okay because I'm still going to get this information out to you guys. And this is important league dates that we should remember. Now, the crazy thing is this is the first time since I've been on YouTube that the Lions have made the playoffs. And in addition to making the playoffs, they also win 2 playoff games. And they were 30 minutes away from still playing football in the last game of the season. And the further your team goes in the playoffs, the more you realize that the season never stops. That's number one. And it's a very short time between the end of the season, which is Super Bowl Sunday, and the official kickoff of the new league year. It's only about a month, but the season never stops. The day after the Lions lost to the San Francisco 49ers, I want to say Brad Holmes was at the Senior Bowl. It never stops. So going into the playoffs actually was something completely different from what I'm used to, and it actually shortened the offseason. And I said that even before the brutal, heartbreaking loss in the conference championship game, I said this offseason was going to fly past because of the NFL draft. It is here in Detroit, and before you know it, it'll be free agency, it'll be the draft, then kids will be out of school here, and then we'll be talking about OTAs, and we'll be talking about the 2024 NFL season. I mean, here it is that we're already 6 days into the second month of 2024. But here, this is coming from Pride of Detroit. They do this every year. Awesome website. Here are important dates to remember for the offseason. Now, you got February 20th, which is exactly 2 weeks from today. Everything happens pretty much on like a Tuesday, Wednesday. The windows open for franchise tag transition players. So that's when the Detroit Lions and other teams can start franchising tag, using the franchise tag. Now, there's nobody on our team that we are going to franchise tag. We really have never, I can't even remember the last time the Lions used the franchise tag. They didn't even use one on Ndamukong Suh back 10 years ago. So I don't think that they're going to use the franchise tag. Then we have the combine, the February 27th through the 4th. That is also going through March 4th. That's also going to be at Lucas Oil Stadium. They're talking about moving it to a different location, but this year they're going to still have it at Lucas Oil. I really wanted to try to go. If I can get my funds up, I wouldn't mind going because Indianapolis is, I want to say, a 4 to 5 hour drive. If Lucas Oil Stadium is not that far, I could go do some combine stuff and then come back. Especially if it's going to move, then I definitely want to get, but I spent way too much money on this journey with the Detroit Lions, and I don't think I can afford to even go because I was thinking about, just going and driving back and forth and stuff like that. So that is, and that's in like 3 weeks that starts. So that's going to be something. Now, after that, March 5th is the deadline to use the franchise tag for players. So that is when we'll find out. And real quick, the legal tampering period begins for free agency a week after that. So those 2 times, we'll find out if Brian Burns, Danielle Hunter, if the Josh Allen, if the Jacksonville Jaguars, Minnesota Vikings, Carolina Panthers, although we don't know if Brad is going to make a move for those guys, we'll know all those guys. We saw it happen last year. If all of those guys will be franchise tagged. So that happens a week before the tampering period begins. So the legal tampering period is where the Detroit Lions and other teams can essentially make arrangements for a player to sign. A lot of the deals are done before free agency actually begins. And then once it begins, that's when the deal can become legal. If you guys remember back when Matthew Stafford was traded to the LA Rams, that happened in January, but it couldn't officially be officially on the books until free agency began, which was the new league year. And then that's when everything was official. After that is when Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford could come into their respective teams and view the complex and stuff like that. So that is when that is going to happen. March 13th is the start of the new league year. And as you can see up here, it coincides with free agency, with the tampering period. So the day of the new league year is when free agency will kick off. I can't remember if we went live last year or not for free agency. I think we were at home making a bunch of videos. I cannot believe it's already that time, because I remember it like it was yesterday. I was at home making a ton of videos just by my phone. That's when we were going through the DJ Chark stuff, the Jamal Williams stuff, and I remember just having my phone glued. That's really when I started getting on Twitter and following everyone who tweets about the NFL. Tom Pelissero, Mike Garafolo, Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, all those guys. Then 2 weeks after that, the league owners meetings and stuff like that. And that's when the Detroit Lions, teams propose new rules and things like that. Mid-April. So then it kind of dies down a little bit. Mid-April, we've got potentially new uniforms for the Detroit Lions. I do not expect much to happen for the Detroit Lions. Maybe a color change here or there. Then on the 15th is when the Lions can start off-season workouts. So this is like the first real taste that football is here. And we're still, at this point, we're still 5 months away from the NFL season starting. When you say it like that, it actually seems like forever. But looking at these dates and you break it down with doing yard work or going to the gym or, summer vacation, stuff like that, it's actually going to go really fast. So that's April 15th. Then you have April 17th is when the deadline for the top 30 visits, when they visit teams. And we know Jalen Carter came to Detroit. We saw a lot of people that came to visit with the Detroit Lions that wind up being on our team. Then April 19th is the deadline for restricted free agents to sign. So the Detroit Lions have a few of those, I believe. Oh, it says if Detroit offers, we have 6 restricted free agents, and I believe that James Houston, even though he's a exclusive rights free agent, I believe that he falls under that category. Then, of course, the highlight of the offseason for us is the NFL draft. Seems like just yesterday we were awarded the draft. We got it the same day that the Detroit Lions were announced for Hard Knocks. I want to say it was 750 some odd days before the draft. If you go to Campus Martius down town, you'll see, I actually walked past it when I was going to Ford Field time and time again during the season. It's a little display that they have the days, hours, minutes, and seconds until the draft takes place. And it will be happening right in that area, which is why that is there. First round is going to be the 25th at 8 p.m. Keep in mind that the Detroit Lions right now have the 29th pick. So if you go down there, you're going to be down there to probably 10:30. If you're going to be down there all night probably, but our draft pick probably won't even be announced if we stay at 29 until the end of the night. There's also a first since I've been on this platform that we've been. I think that when I first started talking Detroit Lions, we were about to pick Frank Ragnow and we picked him at number 20. No, yes. Taylor Decker was, wait a minute, where was Frank at? Frank was 20. I think Taylor Decker was like 18, somewhere around there. Then we have the 26th, which is Friday. That's going to begin at 7. That's the second and third rounds. And then Saturday, the gauntlet day, that's going to go from, I want to say it's 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. Rounds 4 through 7. That's going to be a doozy. Now, here we go, May. May is when the 5th-year options are going to be, that's when the deadline is. So we've got Penei Sewell is the Lions' 5th-year option availability, and we are going to take that. That's without a doubt. That's a no-brainer. Last year, this time, we declined Jeff Okudah, and then we wind up trading him away a few weeks later. Now, May 3rd through 6th or 10 through 13th is rookie mini camp. And this is when those guys, Jahmyr Gibbs, from last year and stuff like that, all the rookies that we take just 2 weeks earlier will be back in Detroit. And then a highlight for me is the mid-May schedule release. Now it's probably going to be on the 10th of May. They do a nice little, it's funny because it was not that big of a deal in the years before. And then with social media and stuff like that, the schedule release has become a big deal. We'll be live for that like we were last year. We did a whole live and then live stream. We predicted the Lions record. I said that the Lions should be between 11-6 and 13-4, and they were right in the center at 12-5. We should have been 13-4. So that's going to happen in May. So we're going to keep that whole schedule going. And then, and as you can see, in between all of these things happening, football is slowly and gradually coming back. The only negative thing about football is if you love summer vacation is over when football starts. So it's like we're going back to school. The fall is coming. Now for me, I love the fall. That's my favorite time of year. So it's not that big of a deal for me. Then in late May, early June, I'm thinking early June, you have OTAs and mandatory minicamp. That's a very exciting time for Detroit Lions fans. A lot of information comes out of there. And then late July is the Detroit Lions training camp. And this is the end of the offseason. Last year, you can see it was on the 23rd, and they had, it was announced on the 27th with 10 practices open to the public, and only 6 of those were open to like the actual public. There were several of those behind the loyal season ticket holders. So there is your off-season schedule. So right now, this whole thing is about 5 months. 5 months from now is July the 6th. And essentially by the time that comes, we are in full-blown off-season mode, training camp, those practices. And then August is the preseason, and that's when football is officially back, although it's not. And then we'll be doing roster updates and 53-man roster and who's this and that and all this other stuff. So it is kind of crazy that the Super Bowl has not even happened yet, and we're already kind of moved on. And like I said, to start this video off, the season does not stop. And this is the first time I got to appreciate that, because we're usually, last year we were 1-6, and we literally fought down to the last game of the season in order to make the playoffs. So our season was in the balance from like week 7 until the end of the season. So you're talking about the middle of October. It was the end of October. It was the day before Halloween, and we went all November, December, and the beginning of January, and then we start talking about free agency. So there is your off-season dates. I will leave the article link in the description if you guys want to read and break down even further what happens on those days. Shout out to Pride of Detroit and those guys over there. They do great work. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.